Aloha and good morning, everyone. Councilmember Tupola, can you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice and liberty for all. Thank you so much. Councilmember Tupola, Vice Chair Tupola, would you like to introduce our guest for the message of aloha?
Yes, I would. I know that everyone is fangirling him right now. It is my honor to introduce a beloved leader in our community, Timmy Chang, the head football coach for the University of Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. Put your hands together. Today, he's accompanied by his lovely wife, Sherry, his daughter, Adriana. Coach Chang's journey is deeply rooted in ohana, perseverance, and the aloha spirit. Born and raised in Waipahu and a record-setting quarterback at St. Louis High School, he went on to become one of the most accomplished players at University of Hawaii history. As a four-year starter from 2000 to 2004, he set NCAA all-time records for passing yards, total offense, led UH to 3 bowl appearances, and a program record 29 wins as a starter, and earned recognition as a finalist for the Johnny Unitas Award. He remains one of the most celebrated student athletes to ever wear the green and white. After playing professionally in NFL, CFL, and NFL Europe, Coach Chang returned home to complete his degree and begin a coaching career that now spans 13 seasons. His experience includes serving as an offensive coordinator at Jackson State and Emory and Henry College, and multiple coaching roles at Nevada, where he helped direct one of the nation's top offensives and mentored all conference and award-recognized players. In January 2022, he was named the 25th head coach at University of Hawaii football history, a full circle moment for a young man who once stood on the field as a student athlete. This past season marked a breakthrough moment. We all saw it, Timmy, and we're all so very proud of you. In 2025, Hawaii returned to a bowl game for the first time in 6 years, and they won. On Christmas Eve, in front of a sold-out home crowd, the Rainbow Warriors rallied from a 21-point deficit and defeated California 35-31 in the Hawaii Bowl. It was amazing. It was amazing to watch. A last-minute touchdown pass with 10 seconds remaining sealed a comeback that tied the largest in program history, delivered the program's 9th bowl victory. The Rainbow Warriors tied the largest comeback in program history, secured the program's 9th bowl victory, reached 9 wins for the first time since 2019, the 16th 9-win season in school history. Coach Chang has now been part of 4 of these seasons, 3 as a player and now 1 as head coach. Entering his 4th season at the helm, Coach Chang leads with the same passion, resilience, and aloha spirit that defined his playing career. More than wins and losses, he represents the commitment to our keiki, our university, and our community. One more time, friends and families and fans, please join me in welcoming Coach Timmy Chang.
Wow. Thank you so much. I wish I was sitting down. I'm blushing right now. Okay, and I wanted to come dressed as coach today and put on my same outfit that I had for that Cal Berkeley game. My wife over there advised not to do it here in the first time at Honolulu, Holly, but it is truly an honor to be here. Council members, roll a little speech for you guys, and I want to thank you for having me today. I'm Timmy Chang, head coach of the University of Hawaii football team. What an honor it is to be standing before you to share a message of aloha. As head coach of our beloved Prideful Warrior football program, I carry both respect and responsibility when I speak, especially to the leaders who shape our unique and special community. Like any good coach, I had to do my scouting report. And so I looked at all the distinguished guests that stood before you guys, innovators, difference makers, and today you invited a coach. The truth is, there's a coach that leads us here, and in my humble opinion, he's one of the best that sits in this chair, and that's former defensive coordinator and Mayor Rick Blangiardi. As coaches, our process is simple. We have to assess what we have. We identify what we want to. We identify where we want to go. We create a plan, and then we go and execute. And when we execute, we know the road, it won't be easy. It's tough. But we know it's going to be tough. The only way to accomplish any goal is to earn it through hard work, discipline, and holding a standard. In Hawaii, that standard is aloha. Love, compassion, respect for one another is what makes us special. When people come to Honolulu, they feel it. The spirit isn't manufactured, it's lived, it's protected, it's passed down. Today, I simply want to express my gratitude and my aloha to you guys. My wife and I, we spent a number of years in different places. Just to name a few: Texas, Mississippi, Virginia, Nevada, and her home Canada. I've also lived in places as Arizona, Florida, Germany, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Louisiana. And with all due respect to those places, there is nowhere that embodies the spirit of aloha, the quality of the people like Hawaii. Tough times will come. Tough decisions will need to be made to preserve what makes Hawaii a special place. But you were chosen by our people, the very people who make Hawaii beautiful. You've earned that right to lead. Keep the aloha. God bless. Thank you.
Beautiful speech. Thank you so much. And I didn't know our mayor was the offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator. Awesome. And associate head coach. Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you. I have a few procedural announcements to make. Although remote oral testimony is being permitted, this is a regular meeting and not a remote meeting by interactive conference technology under HRS 92-3.7. Therefore, the meeting will continue notwithstanding the loss of audiovisual communication with the remote testifiers or loss of the public broadcast of the meeting. Members of the public will be allowed to provide oral testimony on all items on the agenda, either in person in the council chamber or remotely. As both English and Hawaiian are official languages of the state of Hawaii, pursuant to Article 15, Section 4 of the Hawaii State Constitution, and Section 1-13 of the Hawaii Revised Statutes, members of the public may testify in either language. For all testimonies offered in Olelo, Hawaii, additional time may be necessary, will be allowed for the testifier to provide an English translation of their testimony. Before testifying, each person shall state their full name and the agenda item they are testifying on. Each speaker may not have anyone else read their statement and is limited to a 3-minute presentation on public hearing and new business items, and a 1-minute presentation on all other items. Registered in-person testifiers will be called first. When your name is called, please proceed to the podium and begin by stating your name and the item you'll be speaking on. When I call for anyone who has not registered to speak in person, please line up to the right of the podium, and when your name is called, when it's your turn, proceed to the podium, begin by stating your name and the items you'll be speaking on. All persons who are registered to testify remotely by video conference or phone will then be called. When your name is called, please monitor your screen and activate your audio feed when prompted. When I call for anyone else standing by remotely, please utilize the Zoom raise hand button to indicate your desire to speak. For those joining us by telephone only, please press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. The following are some friendly reminders and tips. Video conference from a quiet location if possible. If you are also watching the proceeding on Olelo, please mute your television when you are called to testify. When the timer on the screen reaches 0, please conclude your remarks promptly. For those who are joining us by telephone only, I will identify you by the last 3 digits of your phone number. When your number is called, press *6 to unmute when prompted. Written testimonies, including the testifier's address, email address, and phone number, will be available to the public as described on the posted agenda. As a courtesy, please turn off all cell phones for the duration of the meeting. For your information, the following items published in the public hearing notice on Friday, February 6, 2026, in anticipation of committee action, are not included in today's agenda. Bill 5, 2026, relating to development standards in the apartment and apartment mixed-use districts. Bill 15, 2026, relating to affordable housing requirements. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Cordero,
Here.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam.
Here.
Councilmember Kia Aina.
Here.
Councilmember Nishimoto.
Present.
Councilmember Okimoto.
Present.
Councilmember Talba. Councilmember Tupola.
Aye.
Councilmember Wire.
Here.
Chair Waters.
Here.
Mr. Chair, 9 members are present.
Thank you. Floor Leader Kia Aina. Any guests?
Yes, thank you, Chair. We have several members of the cabinet here. We have the Director of the Department of Housing and Land Management, Kevin Auger. We have the Deputy Director for Planning and Permitting, Brian Gallagher. We have the Director of Facility Maintenance, Jean Albino, with Randall Wakamoto, the Administrator for Stormwater Quality Division. We have Amy Asselby, the Executive Director of the Office of Economic Revitalization, Sarah Breland, Deputy Medical Examiner, and of course, many nominees for appointments and reappointments to our city boards and commissions, as well as community members who are here to advocate today. Lastly, joining us from the Department of Enterprise Services, we have both the Director, Dita Holyfield, and Deputy Director Jocelyn Doan. And our special guest this morning is Lulu the Honolulu Zoo's beloved ambassador. If everybody will welcome our special guest to the chamber. Lulu helps visitors to the Honolulu Zoo connect to its mission of conservation and cultural understanding. Lulu knows that the Honolulu Zoo is a place where all can go to learn about animals, stewardship, and kuleana, or responsibility. The Honolulu Zoo is happy to have Lulu join us in the Honolulu City Council chamber today. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to top of page 4, order of the day from the Committee on Energy, Environment, and Sustainability. Councilmember Wire.
Move that Committee Report 28, 2026 and Resolution 26-12 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Wire for the explanation.
This is confirming the reappointment of Deborah Louis Anderson to serve on the Economic Revitalization Commission of the City and County of Honolulu.
Thank you so much. Is the appointee available to say a few words? Aloha, welcome.
Aloha. Is there any questions for me? Or?
Members, thank you. Members, any questions for the nominee? Seeing none, thank you so much for being here today. Mr. Clerk, do we have any other testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have one registered remote testifier, but that person is not logged on.
Okay. Members, we're in discussion. Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you so much. I appreciate Deborah's willingness to continue to serve on the Economic Revitalization Commission. And we had a few questions for her in committee. So we look forward to hearing back from you on how we can potentially implement some of the audit suggestions and improve how we're operating OER. And we, of course, appreciate your background and the background of the other commissioners to help to guide us in those ways. So thank you again for your service. Thank you, Chair.
Right,
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none, any reservations or objections? Hearing no reservations or objections, CR 28, 2026 and Resolution 26-12 has been adopted. Thank you so much for your
Right.
service.
Thank you.
From the Committee on Zoning and Planning, Councilmember Kia Aina.
I move that Committee Report 37, 2026 and Resolution 2613 CD1 as amended be adopted.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Councilmember Kia Aina for the explanation.
This resolution confirms the reappointment of Ryan Kamal to serve on the Planning Commission of the City and County of Honolulu.
Thank you. Aloha, Mr. Kamal. Thank you for being here today. Would you like to say a few words?
Aloha, Chair Waters, honorable members of the City Council. Mahalo for your consideration and for the opportunity to continue serving the people of Honolulu through the Planning Commission. I'm truly humbled by the trust placed in me, and I remain committed to contributing my professional experience, perspective, and deep care for our community as we shape the future of our island. It's a privilege to serve, and I appreciate Council's consideration. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Council members, any questions for the nominee? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have one registered remote testifier, but again, that person's not logged on.
Okay, thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Or is there anybody in the gallery who'd like to testify? Seeing none, members, we're in discussion. Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 37, 2026, and Resolution 26-13, CD1 has been adopted. Thank you, Mr. Kamo, for your service. Members, moving to the top of page 5. From the Committee on Public Safety and the Economy, Councilmember Tolba.
I move that CR 40, 2026, and Resolution 2611, CD1 as amended be adopted.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Councilmember Tolba for the explanation.
Affirming the reappointment of Debbie Evelanecki to serve on the Fire Commission of the City and County of Honolulu.
Thank you. Aloha, Ms. Alaneki, would you like to say a few words?
Aloha and good morning, Chair Waters, Vice Chair Kia Aina, honorable council members. I just want to thank you for the opportunity for the last 2.5 years, yourself and Mayor Belangiardi for giving me that opportunity to serve on the commission since 2023. I am passionate about the fire department, about public safety, and as you are aware, I wore the uniform for 32 years. Along with my 4 brothers and my father, we dedicated nearly 180 years of service to the department. So we are very connected. We have a deep family history and legacy there. But besides that, I think it's just our collective kuleana responsibility and civic duty to continue to give back when we are able to. And I do feel like this is one of those opportunities. When I retired, I found myself with discretionary time, and I started to look for avenues and spaces where I thought I could bring value. And I think this is one of those places where I can do that. I thank you for your consideration. Mahalo.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the nominee? Seeing none, thank you so much. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we had one registered remote testifier, but again, the person's not logged on.
Okay, thank you very much. Members, we're in discussion. Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you so much. I always want to take the time to honor and recognize Debbie for all her work. We're so grateful. Her career is definitely historic, and I'm going to say it every single time she stands up because she deserves it. First female firefighter, first female fire captain, first female battalion fire chief in HFD. But what makes the most meaningful part of it is that she's earned those roles through competence, command presence, respect within the department. She understands the operational realities, the culture, and the weight of the commission that the Fire Commission oversees. And I think in committee we had good discussions about maybe reorging and basically making HFD everything that it can be. I love how rooted they are in the Hawaiian culture and their values and their principles. We can see it firsthand in how they operate, and I think that it's also reflective in the commission. So thank you very much, Ms. Alaneki. Again, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 40, 2026 and Resolution 26-11 CD1 has been adopted. Mahalo for your service and congratulations. Turning to the bottom of page 5, new business. Vice Chair Tupola.
I move the Resolution 26-9 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Vice Chair Tupola for the explanation.
Confirming the appointment of Perry White to serve on the Ethics Commission of the City and County of Honolulu.
Thank you so much. Is Mr. White present? Aloha, thank you for being here. Would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, a very few words. It's really hard to be as elegant as the people before me. But I wanted to say it's very good to be here again. And I really think that ethical behavior is at the heart of trust, and trust is at the heart of democracy. And if we don't keep those things together, then all of the rest of it just doesn't work. It's a huge honor to be considered. Serving would give me a chance to repay just some of the many things that this community has given over my now very long life. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you so much. Members, any questions for the nominee? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, again, one registered testifier, but that person's not logged on.
Okay, thank you so much. Members, we're in discussion. Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, Resolution 26-9 has been adopted. Thank you so much and congratulations. Members, moving to the top of page 6, first reading items, Vice Chair Tupola.
I move that Bill 18 pass first reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Vice Chair Tupola for the explanation.
Relating to affordable housing.
Thank you so much. I believe we have a number of registered testifiers, starting with Jolie Tokusato. Aloha, welcome.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you. I'm Jolie Tokusato from Unite Here Local 5. I just want to say that Local 5 is big proponents for affordable housing, but this bill, the part about the elevators not being required for 60 feet and under, that's a little bit much. This is my personal opinion. If I had to carry a bag of rice up 6 floors or even 2, I'd probably pass out. People who have, who need affordable homes, they're likely to be like myself, getting older every single day and needing an elevator. So, that's just my personal opinion, but thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Don Huang. Aloha, welcome.
Good morning. Councilman, all the councilmen and Chairman Waters. My name is Don Huang, and my company's name is Collaborative 7 and founded in 1982. We're a development and design company. In 2019, we were inspired by the passing of the Ordinance 19-8. And we made a corporate decision at that time to focus on development and designing quality, affordable apartment project for the people of Honolulu. But before I begin, I just want to compliment the full council on passing the original Bill 7 to be an ordinance, because that's what drives the whole thing. And I realize that we have to adjust to various contemporary issues of the community, and that's why we're here on the Bill 18. My presentation is a little bit longer, but I've given you my written, so I'm going to try to be brief as possible, but it's a detailed issue. So I'm going to come from professional side and share with you my experience. Would that be okay?
Please proceed.
Okay. 6 years later, we obtained 2 permits, 33 units and 29 units, and we are now proceeding to 2 additional projects, 39 units retrofit, and on an existing 4-story 1963 built concrete building near Waikiki, which will be the largest retrofit Bill 7 project to date. Simultaneously, a new ground-up 94 units project with 78 parking stalls in a Punch Bowl Special Design District. We have received approval for National HUD invitation to apply for $25 million debt financing. Very difficult to get. And we expect to receive funding break ground in 12 months. When completed, this project will also have the largest Bill 7 project to date. These 4 projects will total 195 units, quality units, to help serve the affordable housing. Our company redirection is not by random. It was a strategic response to Ordinance 19. Over the past 6 years, we have dedicated our significant financial resource and time to learn and comply to ordinance development standard. We understood that initial Bill 7 rules were imperfect, and both the administration and private sector have worked together to address these challenges. Bill 18 is presented in a form that I believe there may be headed in the same kind of the challenges. And I'm here to share with you that pain that we went through in the beginning. And I'm here to help, not to criticize. So we fully understand the need to adjust for circumstances as we are doing now. However, this bill, as I read it, in my own interpretation, it does not serve those objectives easily. Instead, we're disrupting the momentum the administration has worked tirelessly to improve the ordinance so that there is few unknown going into the projects. That is very important for developers and projects to get even started, because it just takes a lot of decision and site analysis and economics and the market. This momentum is essential
Mr. Huang,
to encourage.
if you could summarize, please, and/or would be helpful. You're in opposition. If you can just narrow what part of the bill you're in opposition. I'll give you 30 more seconds.
Okay. So the building heights reduction, if I may comment on that. And then the other one is the density. The building height in the ordinance 19, we can count on, in both, in the special design district and everywhere else, is one of the most important items that we can actually have to do our performance. 80% of the apartments lie in the areas of Waikiki, Makiki, and Mo'iliili, and of which not many of those are really developable by developers or even look at. Even the family wants to do these projects, they're going to have to hire, with lots of money, hire professionals to really help them out. So the number of viable lots in the smaller than what is needed is very small compared to the 25,000 units that were in deficit and 800 units per year that we're going to try to resolve. So Bill 18 limits the height to 40 feet, including the special design district in Waikiki. So with so in my project, it's in the Makiki area in Punch Bowl. This is the most vital areas that the ordinance could do the project in, as it is it's a manageable commute without cars to access the central business district, hospitals, Capitol Center, municipal buildings, shopping center, schools, universities.
Thank you, Mr. Huang. Members, any questions for the testifier? Councilmember Tupola.
Yeah, just for clarification, we can go through all the nuances of edits and any input that you have for the bill in the committee hearing. So we'll have a committee hearing where we can kind of put together all of the little pieces of where we think it's working and not working. But I did read every single testimony for this. So we thank you and we hope to see you in committee. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any further questions for the testifier?
Thank you.
None. Thank you, sir. Next, we have Brian Mick. Hello, Mr. Mick. Please proceed. Can you press the on button, please? There you go.
All right. Hello, Chair Waters and council members. My name is Brian Mick. I'm here on behalf of the Disability and Communication Access Board and our acting executive director, Christine Pagano. We're in support, but mostly in the one section about elevators. We have long been worried about programs and policies that result in walk-ups being built. These don't have much accessibility for many of the units. The Fair Housing Act requirements only apply to ground floor units or to units that are served by an elevator. So in many ways, requiring an elevator is the single most important accessibility feature because it triggers other considerations that have to be met. We would note that units that aren't accessible are not only unavailable for people with disabilities, they can become a problem for people that move in and then develop a long-term or temporary disability, as well as for people that become pregnant and people who are just aging in place. And of course, those people also have elevated risk for falling downstairs. We would prefer to see elevators required in any buildings with 2 or more stories, and we will continue to advocate for a lower height threshold than the proposed 60 feet, but we'll save that discussion for the committee. Thank you.
Thank you so much, members. Any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you. Next we have, or is there anybody else in person who'd like to testify? Ted Kafalas, aloha, welcome, nice to see you. Please proceed.
Aloha, Chair Waters, Vice Chair Tupola, and council members. Ted Kafalas with Grassroot Institute, speaking in support of Bill 18. We appreciate a lot of aspects of this bill, allowing projects in business districts, removing lot size limits, expanding density. We think Bill 18 has the potential to help home builders deliver more homes faster, aligning with the city's strategic goals to maximize urban land use and streamline development. That said, there is one area where we hope the council will consider in future deliberations and in the committee hearings. The bill currently ties the height limits strictly to underlying zoning. And for some projects that could unintentionally stall construction or increase costs, especially for projects that may already be in the permitting pipeline. And so we encourage you to change the height limit to the underlying zoning or 60 feet, whichever is greater. This keeps projects on track while still allowing bigger projects where higher density is appropriate, maximizing units without introducing uncertainty. Mahalo for your consideration and leadership on this important issue. Here for any questions.
Thank you so much. Members, any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you so much. Is there anybody else in the audience who'd like to testify? Aloha. Ms. Eads, thank you so much for being here. Please proceed.
Aloha, my name is McKinley Eads, and I'm testifying on behalf of the Avalon Development Company. Thank you to the council for bringing forward this bill. It is thoughtful and important. Although Avalon has not developed a project under the Bill 7 program, we recognize its importance. Bill 7 is one of the only tools in Honolulu that has actually produced affordable rental housing units, and the council deserves credit for creating programs and innovating programs that deliver real results. In that context, we also believe Paul Lamb's concerns are valid. He has delivered about more Bill 7 housing than anyone else, and his warnings about feasibility, height limits, and unintended consequences should be taken seriously. If changes make projects stop penciling, fewer homes get built, regardless of intent. That said, we support Bill 18 because it represents a strong, good faith effort to build on what works. Increasing density, removing the 20,000 square foot minimum lot requirement, and modernizing development standards are all meaningful steps that can expand participation beyond a small group of early adopters. From a development perspective, Bill 18 moves in the right direction by reducing artificial constraints and improving predictability. The key is ensuring amendments preserve the core elements, particularly height and feasibility, that made Bill 7 successful in the first place. We believe the goal should be balanced: protect what works, respect the experience of builders who have delivered the housing, and make careful improvements that allow the program to scale. For these reasons, we stand in support of Bill 18 and appreciate the council's leadership on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Members, any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you. Is there anybody else in person who'd like to testify before I move on to remote testimony? Seeing none, thank you. Next, we have Gina Thielen.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, members of the council. My name is Gina Thielen. I'm here to provide comments on Bill 18. I think a lot of the details, there's some that could be helpful and there's some that will definitely be harmful, and those can be discussed in committee, as has been mentioned. My main message to the council today is to tread cautiously. We are finally seeing the dividends of Bill 7 in the number of housing units that are being produced and under construction. And it's very possible in the infancy of this program to inadvertently harm it in such a way that we set it back or altogether kill it. So that would be the cornerstone of my message: is we're far better off with nothing than something that works against the interests of affordable housing. Thank you, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you so much. Members, any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you so much. Next, we have Christine Pagano.
Mr. Chair, the testifier is not logged on.
Okay. I note we do have one raised hand. Is that Don Sakamoto?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Aloha, Mr. Sakamoto. Please proceed.
Good morning, Chair Waters, Vice Chair Councilmember Tapola, and Council Members Donald Sakamoto. I'm in support of this. I just want to make comments about this bill. It's a good bill, but the thing is, as a disabled person, blind, and other people that I know who are physically disabled, like Brian Mick said from DCAM, is need to have accessible housing for the people who are disabled. It's very harsh. You know, Honolulu Age Friendly was done in 2014, right? Mike Farby and Kirk Codwell and others in the state legislature. but nothing has gone forth for the Honolulu age-friendly people, the Kupunas. And when they get old and they live in these apartments, it's very difficult for them to walk down. There's no elevators. So if we can put elevators in the rail, we definitely can put these in the apartment. No matter what the cost is, you got to look at the future. We need to prepare to have infrastructure in place to address this problem. So famous quote by Benjamin Franklin, by failing to prepare, you're preparing to fail. So let's do it right. And I'll be there in committee to discuss how we can get more accessibility. Affordability is okay, but accessibility is the key. And that's, in my case, I'm 64 years old. I just made 64. If I have to move an apartment and I get back into my 70s and 80s, I want to make sure it's accessible for my age when I get older and I can't walk up the stairs or down the stairs. So please take that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sakamoto. Mr. Clerk, do we have any other testifiers?
Mr. Chair, that concludes the testifiers.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Councilmember Kia Aina.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. First off, I would like to say that given the slew of Bill 7 legislation that has been introduced, I appreciate the attempt by Councilmember Tupola to look at all of the various measures and try to compile something to try to seek the right balance. Just as background, affordable rental housing projects under ROH Chapter 32 or Bill 7 projects were intended as low-rise apartment buildings on small zoning lots as infill development in areas that are already built out. The way the process works is that developers can go straight to a building permit application to be considered by the Department of Planning and Permitting, which is fine for smaller projects, but not for larger projects. I do appreciate Councilmember Tupola's efforts on special districts, as well as attempts to deal with the very serious concern over fire code compliance. I do have concerns, however, over deleting the 60-foot maximum building height and 20,000 square foot maximum lot area for these projects. To me, large affordable rental housing projects should go through the 201H process if they need financial waivers and development standard exemptions to make the projects financially feasible. The 201H process requires discretionary approval from the City Council, which allows the Council to consider concerns of the surrounding community, comments from other government agencies, and include conditions of approval to mitigate impacts directly attributed to the project. For these reasons, I remain concerned over the current draft of Bill 18 and will be voting with reservations, but look forward to working with Councilmember Tupola as it moves through the committee process to have a robust discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you so much, Chair. Thank you, Councilmember Kiana, for your comments. For all of those listening, and especially for the council members who have submitted edits to Bill 7 projects, currently Chapter 32, all edits are welcome because there have been so many suggestions given to me that I've tried to narrow it down to the most essential, but again, there's still a lot of work that can happen in committee. Bill 18 reflects collaboration, balance, thoughtful reform. We work closely with a broad range of stakeholders, but I still got 26 pages of testimony that gave me more insight, so thank you, everyone. The result is a bill that improves feasibility and expands housing opportunity while maintaining neighborhood protections and safety standards. I did hear what people have brought up about the elevators, and I'm reading testimony as well, so we will incorporate some of these ideas when we come through a CD. At its core, Bill 18 modernizes the affordable rental housing program so it can actually deliver results. Since 2019, only 6 projects have been completed under Chapter 32. That tells us something important. The program as currently structured is not producing housing at the scale our communities need. This bill is not about deregulation. It's a targeted reform to make sure that the math works out so that more affordable housing can be built. Bill 18 increases housing supply by allowing more affordable units and at the same time protecting neighborhoods. There are a lot of people that came out and wanted certain things considered so that the neighborhood would be a part of the plan when these projects come forward. We've heard concerns about traffic, about compatibility. So with all of that being said, as this bill moves through the committee, we remain committed to refining it and ensuring that Chapter 32 becomes more effective and practical, not limiting and not changing guidance for developers, but making it easier for the department and for those participating in the program to succeed. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilmember Dos Santos Tam.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate the efforts to address the issues that were brought up with respect to the Bill 7 program. At the end of last year, I introduced Bill 72, and I'm pleased to see a number of the elements from Bill 72 incorporated into this bill. In fact, much of Bill 18 is based on the backbone of Bill 72, and for that, I'm grateful, and I think we can keep on working on this. What I think we're losing sight of here is why the Bill 7 program was created in the first place. Why do we have Chapter 32 in the first place? It was because our underlying apartment zoning was not conducive to building apartments in the apartment zone. If you look at from the 70s, late 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, up until now, the number of small to medium-sized apartments that were constructed was basically zero in the urban core. Notwithstanding the fact that we have this growing housing crisis where we needed exactly these units. And so what I think we also need to do concurrently with this is look at the underlying apartment zoning, which we're doing in Bill 6. We need to look at the underlying special districts as well. In my district, we have the Punch Bowl Special District, and I know that a number of folks have brought up issues with regard to the Punch Bowl Special District. That was created, it was put into ordinance in the LUO in 1999. The special district guidelines were put into place in 2000. They've never been updated since. It references things like fluorescent lighting and things that now we just use LEDs for the public street lighting. It references all kinds of old things, 20-something years old, that just aren't relevant today, and we need to look at that. I do have questions, though, as to how Bill 18 is going to comport with the special districts. I think the bill's intent of relying on the underlying zoning is just going to exacerbate some of these old problems that we've had. For example, in the Punch Bowl Special District, you're allowed to go 12 additional feet on top of what's in the zoning map for your mechanical, for your appurtenances. If we're going to require elevators, you're going to need an elevator machine room on the top of your building. Does that count? Does that not count? Similarly, single family is exempted in some of the Punch Bowl Special District, and if we're going to enforce all of the special district rules all the time, I'm curious as to how that's going to affect the single-family duplexes and smaller multiplex projects. And I guess my final mention is with regard to the 20,000 square feet, going back to this idea that the reason why we have Bill 7 in the first place is our underlying zoning and processes don't align. The 20,000 feet limitation would be irrelevant if we solve the issue of subdivision and consolidation of parcels, because there's some, I think, Bill 7 property owners who would love to subdivide it into a smaller, more buildable lot, but the process to do so is very, very cumbersome. And I think all of these things are things we need to fix concurrently with Bill 18. And so there's a lot of work that I think our zoning and planning committee is going to need to do in order to make housing work on this island. But I'm committed to doing that. Housing's not just a city issue, it's a state issue as well. And I hope that we can have leaders on the city and state level that work together to make this happen.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion? Councilmember Wire.
Thank you, Chair. I want to also acknowledge the work that's gone into Bill 18 and appreciate that, and do feel like it's setting us on a good path. Just want to know, when we'd introduced Bill 4, ultimately that was adjusting the subsidy amount and contemplating how we can increase diversity and the units being provided, right? Increase number of rooms, for example, and also make it pencil out so we can materialize these projects. With Bill 18, I do see, and just I'm going to have reservations for this reason, kind of a broader conversation that we're having, which I support and I'm grateful to have. But I think my main concern is just as we go forward, we do have to assess what exactly we want the program to look like. You know, I do support keeping it at 60 feet versus removing bonus density in specific parts of the island, because I think that is a part of the program, and the density or the increased height, I should say. is a benefit to the community in terms of providing additional units. If we're going to switch to underlining zoning, but then allow for this increased density that could take buildings substantially higher than the 60 feet, I do think I have to acknowledge that I think we have to have a more in-depth discussion about some of the code relaxation that occurred. And of course, just say across the board that anytime we're going to make the program more stringent or tougher to navigate, I think we have to have that conversation in conjunction with what the subsidy amount is going to be. Because really, I think all of our goal is to make sure that these projects pencil out and materialize and provide units for our families. And so those are kind of my main concerns. And just looking at seeming to carve out certain parts of the island from sharing in the responsibility that I think every district has in terms of providing for the housing needs of our community. I'm first to acknowledge that, each project is different, and so the circumstances surrounding our Wahiawa project, of course, are different than projects in other parts of the island, and so the reasons that we get such good feedback from our community on it may be different in other areas, and so I have to acknowledge that. But at the same time, I do think we need to ensure that every community is sharing in that burden in meeting our housing needs, because that, I think, is our collective responsibility. And so those are the reasons for my reservations, but extremely hopeful to have the conversation. Mahalo, Chair.
Thank you so much. Any further discussion, members? Councilmember Nishimoto.
Thank you. This is first reading, correct, Chair?
First reading.
Okay, WR.
WR for Councilmember Nishimoto. Any further discussion, members? I just want to point out that this body actually spent a lot of time working on the primary urban core development plan. And as we know, the primary urban core has most of the apartments in it. So to the extent that we can look at that while our deliberations go forward, I think that'd be a good idea. Any further discussion, members? Councilmember Dos Santos.
WR.
WR. Okay, well, let me call for any further discussion. Seeing none, WR on behalf of Councilmember Wire, Dos Santos Tam, Kia Aina, Nishimoto, and anyone else? Seeing none, Bill 18, 2026 has passed first reading. Thank you, members. Moving to the top of page 7 from the Committee on Budget, Councilmember Okimoto.
Thank you, Chair. I move the Committee Report 2626 and Bill 1, 2026 CD1 as amended past second reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Okimoto for the explanation.
Relating to the establishment of fees and charges for services of the Department of the Medical Examiner.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, I believe we have one registered testifier, Angela Melody Young.
Mr. Chair, the testifier is not logged on.
Okay, is there anybody else who'd like to testify on this matter? Seeing none, members, we're in discussion. Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam?
Aye.
Councilmember Kia Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Nishimoto? Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Talba?
Aye.
Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 9 ayes.
Thank you. CR 26, 2026 has been adopted. Bill 1, 2026, CD1 has passed second reading. Moving to the bottom of page 7 from the Committee on Infrastructure, Transportation, and Technology, Councilmember Cordero.
I move that Committee Report 32, 2026 and Bill 12, 2026, which relates to sewers, drainage, and cesspools, pass second reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Thank you for the explanation. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Any discussion, members? Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you so much. This bill strengthens transparency and accountability by requiring a publicly accessible, regularly updated website with an interactive map, integrating the city's wastewater and stormwater systems. I thank Randall Wakamoto, who came to our committee to speak on it, and I am working with them on a CD1, which is the Department of Facility Maintenance, and their department to make sure that what we're requiring is something that is feasible for them to do and information that the public generally needs. This measure is timely, especially as Senior Staff Member Tyler Sugihara, with extensive institutional knowledge, prepares for retirement. We need to make sure that we are actively documenting everything that we have so that we can better upkeep and keep transparent for the public the use of our safety, our wastewater and stormwater systems. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any further discussion? Councilmember Kia Aina.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, as this bill moves forward, thank you to the authors of this measure and the administration for working on it. I would like to see information for our communities that are in the queue to be connected to the city system. My communities have asked to know timeframes and also whether the city will work with them on community outreach so that they can start getting prepared. So what I'm finding is even if, say, it's 5 years down the road, it's still more important for individuals to be prepared and even know if their neighborhood is going to be slated to be hooked up to the city system. And I think that that is critically important information to be put on this website. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 32, 2026 has been adopted and Bill 12, 2026 is passed second reading. Moving to the top of page 8 from the Committee on Zoning, Planning, Councilmember Kia Aina.
I move that Committee Report 33, 2026 be adopted and Bill 6, 2026 CD1 as amended pass second reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Kia Aina for the explanation.
This bill relates to development standards in the apartment and apartment mixed-use districts.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to testify? Ted Kafales, welcome again.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, Council members. Ted Kafales with Grassroots Institute here in support of Bill 6. This bill, we feel, is an important step towards addressing Honolulu's housing shortage by allowing more homes in areas that are already zoned apartments and mixed use, increasing allowable floor area ratios and reducing minimum lot sizes can really help redevelopment be more financially realistic, especially for older properties that are currently underbuilt. We respectfully request 2 amendments, however, increasing the floor area ratio to 4.0 in A2 and AMX2 zones. This is where most of the redevelopment potential exists, as well as reducing the minimum lot width and depth to 50 feet in order to avoid any unnecessary variances in the development process. We think these changes would provide flexibility while focusing the growth where housing is really supposed to be intended. Mahalo for the opportunity to testify here for any questions.
Thank you so much. Members, any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Is there anybody else who'd like to testify on Bill 6? Bill 6. Seeing none, members, we're in discussion. Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam?
Aye.
Councilmember Kia Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Nishimoto? Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Talba? Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 9 ayes.
Thank you. CR 33, 2026 has been adopted and Bill 6, 2026 CD1 has passed second reading. Moving to the bottom of page 8, Councilmember Kia Aina.
I move that Committee Report 34, 2026 be adopted and Bill 7, 2026 CD1 as amended pass second reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Kia Aina for the explanation.
This bill relates to sign standards for apartment and apartment mixed-use districts.
Thank you. We have 1 registered testifier, Lee Tokuhara. Aloha and welcome.
Good morning, Chair Waters, Vice Chair Tupola, members of our Honolulu City Council. My name is Lee Tokuhara from D.R. Horton, Hawaii, here to support Bill 7. The small businesses at Ho'opili, which is our master plan community in Ewa, will greatly benefit from this bill as it will allow them to install appropriate signage to promote their businesses and identify their businesses to their customers, potential customers, and the community at large. Proper signage is critical for any brick and mortar, and especially for those within a mixed-use environment like Ho'opili, where residences and commercial spaces are oftentimes built within the same building and or block. So thank you for allowing me this opportunity. I'll take any questions.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you so much. Is there anybody else who'd like to testify on Bill 7? Seeing none, any discussion, members? Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you. I want to thank DPP, the Planning Commission, as well as the council members here in the room for supporting this bill. The core intent of this bill is to support our local businesses. Over the past few years, not just in Ho'opili, but I also have an area called Mehana. These mixed residential and business districts are awesome. People can walk and get their hair cut, get their dog taken care of, buy groceries, go get ice cream. However, you don't know where any of these things are because they can't put up a sign. So I'm grateful that we're moving through this, and I thank the committee chair for listing it and for us discussing it. We were able to incorporate the suggestion from the Planning Commission as CD and as well implement the paragraph that DPP suggested we were missing. So we're looking forward to this passing, and that these neighborhoods that I think we've tried to, as a council, plan out well for you to live and walk and work in the same areas so that everybody can succeed and that our small businesses can continue to thrive in our neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam?
Aye.
Councilmember Kia-Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Nishimoto? Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Tauba? Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 8 ayes, 1 member is absent.
Thank you. CR 34, 2026 has been adopted. Bill 7, 2026, CD1 is passed second reading. Moving to the top of page 9, third reading items. From the Committee on Infrastructure, Transportation and Technology, Councilmember Cordero.
I move that Committee Report 31, 2026 and Bill 60, 2025, CD2, which relates to the Honolulu Authority for Rapid Transportation, as amended, pass third reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Thank you for the explanation. I believe we have a number of registered testifiers, starting with in person, Jolie Tokusato. Aloha again and welcome.
Good morning, everybody. Jolie Tokusato from Unite Here Local 5. Local 5 is a big believer in public transit, and we really believe that the rail should go to UH. It's that simple. We're a firm believer in that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in person who'd like to testify? Bill 60, before I move to remote testimony. Seeing none. Next, we have Don Sakamoto. Hello, Mr. Sakamoto. Mr. Sakamoto, you're on mute. Let's come back to Mr. Sakamoto. Oh, there you go.
Can you hear me now?
Please proceed.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Waters. Chair Waters, Vice Chair Tapola, and rest of Council Member Donald Sakamoto. I'm in support of Bill 60, but I just want to comment that, when we do decide to go from Alamana to UH and the west side, that we make it accessible for people with disabilities to traverse when construction is going on. We have a big issue with Dillingham Construction with NAM Corporation. And I do support having rail because that's what we voted for, to go to UH. And as an alumnus of University of Hawaii, I agree that the students should be all hooked up with all the different campuses. So we have accessibility and maybe affordability for our transportation. But I support Bill 60, but let's build it right. Let's prepare to have it built and to go to UH and West Side. Just prepare, like I said, by failing to prepare, you're prepared to fail by Benjamin Franklin. So I support the bill, but my intent is build it right and accessible. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Shelby Pikachu, billionaire.
Mr. Chair, the testifier is not logged on.
Okay. Next, we have Chun James.
Mr. Chair, that testifier is also not logged on.
Okay. Is there anybody else who'd like to testify, Mr. Clerk?
That concludes our registered list.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Councilmember Toba.
Thank you. I got questions for the director.
Please proceed.
Good morning, Lori Kahikina, CEO and Executive Director of HEART.
Thank you, Director. Can you tell us why this bill is necessary? I have several questions.
Sure, thank you for the question, Council Member. So right now, HEART is only authorized to do the minimal operable segment, which goes from East Kapolei to Ala Moana. So the locally preferred alternative goes from West Kapolei to the University of Hawaii. So this is what, we need authorization from City Council to go beyond the current minimal operable segment, MOS.
Okay, so what is the current process between HEART and the council, and how does this bill change that?
The current process, are you talking regarding MOS and L? Okay, we need the authorization from City Council to do anything beyond the current MOS.
Okay, so does this bill authorize funds to be used for planning and engineering costs? And what are these funds? And is there an estimated cost?
This does, if it passes, it does authorize HEART to use funds to get to University of Hawaii or further into Kapolei. Currently, there are no additional funds to go there. If we do obtain additional funds, we need the authorization first before we can even spend funds to go beyond.
So in terms of trust and transparency, do you believe that this is the best interest of the public to pass this bill today, and tell us why?
Yes, I do. As far as transparency, as I keep mentioning, we need the authorization from City Council. HEART does not have the authorization just to go off wherever it wants to. We cannot even start to plan what is the best route to go from Ala Moana to the University of Hawaii without the authorization from City Council, or even further west, or even into Waikiki. Once we have the authorization and the funding, then we can at least start to look at the proper route. But right now, we don't have that.
Okay, so we are funded to the city center with the current funds. So how does this bill impact those plans and funding?
It does not. We have the funds that we have right now only takes us, this is all based on projections of the GET and TAT growth over the next few years to 2030. All of those funds are obligated towards Civic Center. If we have any extra, we already have the authorization from City Council to get to Ala Moana, but right now we cannot go beyond that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Councilmember Wire.
Thank you, Chair. Just since we have you here, Director, just to make sure I'm hearing correctly. So what I'm hearing is that the bill doesn't bind us to any future spending that we don't have on finalizing Route UH, but right now you can't even look at it or plan for it or figure out if it's doable without us passing this bill?
That is correct, Council Member. We have, because we are not obligating future funds at all. Any funds that, for example, if the GET, TAT is extended, the legislative body does pass that, we still need to go through the budgetary approval process through our board and through City Council. So no, this bill does not obligate any future funds.
Okay, appreciate that, Mahalo. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, members, for having this discussion. I know that since this was adopted, I know that many of us, I don't know, but like I'm sure many of us have been talking to a lot of the stakeholders as well as our communities, and my community being in the middle of our current system really is hopeful to be able to at least go to UH Manoa, exactly what they voted for. This is something that they've asked for. They understand that while this doesn't appropriate funds, because they are going through the roller coaster of Dillingham right now, and hearing about the Mauka shift, they, in the words of Donald Sakamoto, agree that if we fail to plan, then we plan to fail. So while I was worried about the discussions that I would be having about this bill in my community, it has been surprisingly positive, and so I'm really hopeful for us authorizing this very first step that would get us to the next step. So anyway, I just wanted to note that this doesn't take away any of the oversight that the council has over the project and over HART, but it also helps us continue the project that continues to grow as well. So thank you very much. Yeah, I hope that the council will support this bill. Mahalo.
Thank you. Councilmember Tupola.
Aloha, thank you for being here. I have a question. So I've heard what's been said thus far. I guess my question is, in the future plans, because this sounds like it's just allowing for some future planning, if I'm hearing this right. If there were plans that didn't include us fully operating it, or maybe some type of partnership, would that also be considered in giving you guys authority to plan ahead, or would it only be if the city and county operates those segments or any future segments?
I'm not sure I understand the question, Vice Chair. The intent is still HART constructs whatever we are authorized to do from the city council, and once it's constructed, we still hand it over to DTS to own and operate, which falls under the council.
I hear that. I guess my question is more about, if there was smaller segments, is there any discussions of any public-private partnerships? And if that is that something that we could consider? Again, this is planning, so we're not going to fund it, but I'm guessing that would be like for small ones. I mean, I'm just talking about from Kapolei to the mall.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that. So unsolicited, Department of Hawaiian Homelands has approached HART.
Right.
They would love for us to go to Kamakanaʻaliʻi. They even have the property set. But again, we still need to vet that out. Is that the proper location? But they do have grand plans of interconnecting with the historic rail, and it's quite exciting. They have their own TOD future plans that they want to discuss, but they want rail to come right in over there. So we would have to look at all funding options, not just GET, TAT, but to your point, P3, any private investments. We have to look at everything.
Thank you, because that kind of makes me excited. I don't think we're going to make it without some very savvy partnerships. And I think in my district, that little segment is more of a doable option, maybe in the foreseeable future. And I think right now we're doing as much as we can with buses and, trying to transport people from the rail station to the hotel that's in the mall. Because the fact that it goes to the airport, there are a lot of people that use it now from that point, but it would be a lot more useful if it went to the mall. So thank you for that clarification.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilmember Kia Aina.
Thank you. Good to see you, Director. As I stated earlier when this was first considered, I am a strong supporter of rail, but I continue to have concerns of the timing of this resolution providing authority. Quite frankly, I think if you guys bifurcated it and did the west side first, I probably wouldn't have a problem. I do have a problem of trying to extend it beyond Ala Moana when we haven't even reached the Civic Center or Ala Moana. And I would have preferred that seeking such an authority would probably happen between the two those two segments. And so I would like to also say that with regard to going west side, which could happen immediately, as opposed to you just having something sitting on the counter, or with regard to going to that probably would have been a wiser approach. And so as such, I will be voting against this measure. And as I also stated, I think that under your leadership and the Blangiardi administration, there has been a restoration of trust in the direction of the rail. And so for many in my community, they're just a little concerned about not having completed these other two segments, and then we're already proposing. So should you have the votes today to move it forward, I simply ask that as you seek funding authority moving forward, that you start with the west side first, because I do know that there is private sector funding that is readily available that wants to help with the planning. And I do believe that the director of Hawaiian Homelands has been doing a good job, not just with Hawaiian Homelands, but looking for innovative projects where he could collaborate with the city, especially in this case, the rail. And I'm optimistic about that collaboration. Anyway, thank you for your time, Chair.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councilmember Floor Leader Kia Aina. I did definitely take that to heart when you did mention that, and this bill actually lost a whole page, and in the amendments, through the different amendments, and does not specifically mention any of those specific points. So thank you, and thank you to Executive Director Kahikina. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions for Director Kahikina? Seeing none, thank you so much. Councilmember Tolba.
Yeah, I just want to start by saying that I support reasonable rail use, and I am generally encouraged to see ridership increasing. You know, many residents rely on the system every day, and I want it to work well for the community. A strong public multimodal transit system is important for the future. At the same time, supporting rail means ensuring we are exercising thoughtful oversight and accountability. So Bill 60 would approve all extensions to the minimum operable segment so long as they adhere to the locally preferred alternative. While that may provide administrative efficiency, it also means future extensions could move forward without returning to this council for separate approval and full public discussion. For me, it's about balance. Each extension represents significant policy and financial decisions. We are talking about a lot of taxpayer money, including general excise tax revenues paid for by our residents and small businesses. With that level of public investment, I believe it is important that this body continues to review each phase carefully and provide opportunities for community input. The rail project overseen by HART has faced challenges in the past. Because of the history, maintaining transparency and public trust is especially important. We can be supportive of rail and hopeful about its success while still honoring our responsibility to ensure accountability and openness. In my view, reserving council review strengthens, not weakens, the project over the long term. And for these reasons, today I'll be voting no.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you so much, Chair. I think everyone who was part of the discussion, especially in committee, we discussed taking out any of the specificity of this, suggesting that we do this segment or that one, but just allowing for future discussions on segments. And as I stated earlier, I think the low-hanging fruit is the rail hanging up in the air in Kapolei. All we gotta do is take it to the mall and then we're there. So I feel like there are certain ones that HART's aware of, but again, per the charter, they can't go outside of the operable segment, so it doesn't allow us to do that. So with that being said, this is giving them autonomy, not money. It's giving them the authority to plan, which also still has to come back to us. We would still have to fund any plans that they have, so they aren't going to be able to fund it on their own. And I think without planning, we won't even know if we can finish, say, for example, that West Side segment or anything else. So with that being said, I do think the chair, she did actually strip down this bill quite a bit to kind of appease all sides of this conversation. And as the executive director stated, everything will still have to come through us, especially in regards to funding. But it might not only be the same funding source we're talking about, and I'm excited about that, because if we have good collaborative partners, we could do something to better service the ends of the rail route that I think really would make it complete. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Also, just want to remind the HART board that in the charter, one of their duties is to find funding. Just a reminder. Councilmember Kia.
Chair, I'm so sorry. In light of what Councilmember Cordero said, with regard to the modifications that she made with regard to specific locations. I greatly appreciate that. So I will simply be voting with reservations because I do support planning to go to Kamakana Ali'i.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilmember Cordero.
Okay, just 3 points. Thank you, Chair, for allowing me. So once again, we don't lose the council's authority for oversight over the project, and we are not writing a blank check. And with the hopes of the sponsorship bill that this council was able to pass last year, I'm hopeful for future funding for future extensions to the project. Mahalo.
Thank you. Ready to vote? Thank you. Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam?
Aye.
Councilmember Kia Aina?
Reservations.
Councilmember Nishimoto? Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Talba?
No.
Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 8 ayes and 1 no.
Thank you. CR 31, 2026 has been adopted, and Bill 60, 2025, CD2 has passed third reading. Moving to the top of page 10 from the Committee on Budget, Councilmember Okimoto.
Chair, I move that Committee Report 2726 and Resolution 26-21 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Okimoto for the explanation.
Relating to the transfer of funds.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Any discussion, members?
Chair.
Councilmember Tupola.
I had a quick question for Corp Counsel if they are here. Mr. Pang? Hi, good morning. I was just wondering, because the charter specifically states that clean water natural land funds be used for the acquisition of land or the improvement or management of the acquired land, if this particular transfer of funds is abiding by what the charter states.
Yes, Dwayne Pang, Deputy Corporation Counsel. The answer is yes.
Okay, so can you explain to me, is the monies in the Clean Water Natural Land Fund also allowed to be then used for salaries and operations and not just the acquisition of land and the maintenance of land?
I don't think it's allowed to use for salaries, but with respect to maintaining the city's interest in the property, it would probably include if you need the maintenance, you need to hire people. So I mean, I don't know how else to say other than kind of yes.
Okay, no,
Yeah.
it's fine. I just
Yeah.
wanted that on the record
Yeah.
because I do think that it's a peripheral maintenance, right?
Yeah.
It's us in the administration of the funds maintaining it.
It's to protect and preserve and maintain the city's interests acquired by the Clean Water Natural Land Fund.
Okay, all right, thank you for the clarification. Thank you, Chair.
No, thank you. Good question. Actually, is this money, and maybe the director can answer this question, is this money coming from money that we appropriated in the last year's budget? Or is it money that is in the special fund that is being asked to be transferred? And by the way, this is why I like these measures to go to the Budget Committee so we can flesh this out. It was a request to put this directly to the floor, I believe. Please, Director Auger, thank you so much.
Hi, good morning, Chair and honorable council members. Kevin Auger, Director, Department of Housing and Land Management. The funding that's included in this resolution has already been appropriated. It's simply moving it, and we're moving it because we created an office of clean water and natural lands within the administrative division of the department. So there's no change. And the Clean Water and Natural Lands Fund also allows 5% of those funds to be used for administrative costs, which would include the salaries to maintain the fund.
Okay. Any follow-up questions? Seeing none, thank you so much. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 27, 2026 and Resolution 26-21 has been adopted. Moving to the bottom of page 10 from the Committee on Energy, Environment, and Sustainability, Councilmember Wire.
I move that Committee Report 29, 2026 and Resolution 26-22 be adopted.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Councilmember Wire for the explanation.
So accepting a gift valued at $4,550 to the city from NICO for an OER representative to attend the 2026 NICO Conference and the International Economic Development Council Economic Recovery Corp Annual Retreat.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Any discussion, members? Seeing none, Any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 29, 2026 and Resolution 26-22 has been adopted. Moving to the top of page 11, Councilmember Wire.
I move that Committee Report 30, 2026, and Resolution 2623 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Wire for the explanation.
Accepting a gift valued at $1,975 to the city from Metropolitan Community College for representative of OER to attend the Counties of Career Success Building a Work-Ready Future meeting.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you, members. Any discussion? Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting none, CR 30, 2026 and Resolution 26-23 has been adopted. Moving to the bottom of page 11 from the Committee on Zoning and Planning, Councilmember Kia Aina.
I move that Committee Report 35, 2026 and Resolution 25333 CD1 as amended be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Kia Aina for the explanation.
This resolution grants a special management area major permit to allow for the demolition of an existing single-unit dwelling and attached garage, construction of a new single-unit dwelling, pool, spa, and detached garage with a recreation room above the garage, and installation of an individual wastewater system in Wailoa, Oahu.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Any discussion, members? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam?
Aye.
Councilmember Kia Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Nishimoto? Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Talba? Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 9 ayes.
Thank you. CR 35, 2026 and Resolution 25-333 CD1 has been adopted. Moving to the top of page 12 from the Committee on Zoning, Councilmember Kia Aina.
I move that Committee Report 36, 2026 and Resolution 26-4 CD1 as amended be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Kia Aina for the explanation.
This resolution grants a special management area major permit to allow for the expansion and rehabilitation of the West Lock wastewater pump station in Honolulu, Oahu.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam?
Aye.
Councilmember Kia Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Nishimoto? Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Talba? Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 9 ayes.
Thank you. CR 36, 2026 and Resolution 26-4 CD1 has been adopted. Councilmember Kia Aina.
I move that Committee Report 38, 2026 and Resolution 26-17 CD1 as amended be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Kia Aina for the explanation.
This proposes an amendment to Chapter 21 Revised Ordinance of Honolulu 2021 relating to conditional use permits.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have 2 registered testifiers here in person.
I believe we have Raquel Achiu followed by Taylor Kellerman. Aloha and welcome.
Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Mahalo Chair, Vice Chair, committee members. Raquel Achu, Wailoa Moku on the North Shore. I completely support the intent of this resolution and the CD1. I have provided written testimony in detail. I do have some comment and concern in that detail regarding the CD1, and I'll just briefly summarize it. This issue is a hugely consistent concern within our community, especially with the most recent concerns with how CUP minors and majors are given out, and we are faced now with a major development that was given under a minor. So we've acknowledged in many instances throughout our community the need for acknowledging the pukas that exist within the process. We fully believe that expirations versus extensions are critical. Extensions provide a running, open-ended approval that could last many years that don't address changes as the community changes. A minor versus major, we don't want to impact the smaller farmer who wants to do something that's hugely related to their operation and be burdened with the expense and procedure of a major. They qualify for a minor. So if you have a minimal impact to your business and your operation is, or what you're asking for is related to the nexus of your agriculture, I would say that was a minor. But if you're going for a major development, obviously there are spots there you would want to involve. And I know we had this discussion last time, and I know my time's up. I'm sorry, I'll make it real quick. I hate that timer. The neighborhood boards, really, truly, I know this was a piece of opposition last time. They really do provide information that we can give to any approving agency or body that provides additional information that should be considered in these approvals. And they're skipped. We already get notice and information on majors. It just prompts, the minors just prompt the community, and we have the option to say, oh, we don't really need to hear this, or we really want to hear it. So we don't hear everything, but it allows us to provide critical information we believe within our community that this project would impact. So I really hope you're able to consider those. I'm happy to answer any questions. Mahalo.
Thank you so much. Members, any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you so much. Next, we have Taylor Kellerman. Aloha and welcome.
Aloha, Chair Waters, esteemed members of the council. My name is Taylor Kellerman. I'm the Director of Diversified Agriculture and Land Stewardship for Kuloa Ranch. I just have two comments of concern. One from an industry perspective. I feel that requiring all operators to require a major cup does increase administrative, financial, and regulatory complexity of their operation. It is a great way for farmers and producers to diversify their economy for economic sustainability. Second is from a Kuloa perspective. We are just asking in terms of the DPP director being able to revoke existing cups, that we ask the language have defined parameters that does not create room for interpretation and or ambiguity that could be weaponized by those seeking alternative agendas. Outside of that, I stand by my written testimony, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. Members, any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Clark, do we have any other testifiers?
Mr. Chair, that concludes the testifiers.
Okay, we're in discussion. Councilmember Wire.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be supporting the resolution, but we'll just know my reservations. I think we had a thorough discussion at committee. My concern, and I say that because I think we're early on, so I know DPP is going to do an evaluation, and the Planning Commission will also do an evaluation. I think, we had put forward a resolution to more gently just have notice and then give DPP director discretion to do a hearing. So I'm just concerned at the large jump that we've done to then make all agritourism, agribusiness activities major without contemplating the impact on individual businesses. But I think there's hope, because I think that came out in the discussion at committee. But I just want to throw it out there, particularly as DPP evaluates that. I think that if we're going to go down the route of, it seemed like folks were open to a minor versus a major distinction, I just caution against that, because I think it's extremely hard to always draw a very bright line. Because I think we try to do that, and I think if we really hone in on like what the underlying issue was, particularly for the gondola project, right? Absent that notice early on, folks like the Army and the LNR and ALOHA and other groups didn't have potential to provide very necessary information on top of the community, right? That has a lot of generational knowledge. And so I think that's why our approach was attempting to be a little gentler on impact on businesses and farmers, but then still providing the mechanism to allow that notice and then the discretionary permit. I'm sure DPP is going to have input on that. And again, the stakeholders today are going to maybe have other ideas too. But just wanted to flag that and note the reason for my reservation. So mahalo.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilmember Kia Aina.
Can we have the DPP come to answer some questions?
Yes, please. Please proceed.
Good morning, Chair and Council members. I'm Elizabeth Krieger with the Department of Planning and Permitting. Could I have the question repeated, please?
Oh, no, I didn't ask the question yet. I just wanted you to introduce yourself. Thank you so much for being here. You know, there was great discussion with regard to minor versus a major and maybe the need to delineate. I made the call at the time that it was important to move a vehicle forward, which is why we're here. My question to you is that should this measure pass and get proposed to the Planning Commission and then come back, are you able to deal with the nuances of the minor and major at that time, or would we need to have a freestanding measure separately from this to be able to deal with some of the comments made on the minor use permit?
I think that we can take the vehicle that is up for passage today and offer some options. What we tend to do is take a look at all of the discussion related to the resolution and the draft bill that's attached to the resolution, and then what we know from our experience, and then we send back the report through the Planning Commission with, number one, the draft bill that is attached to this resolution, and number two, likely a DPP proposal that takes into account all of the discussion as well as any other information we collect as we're evaluating.
Okay, would that occur before they consider it or after they consider it?
We would send a report to the Planning Commission with that for the Planning Commission to consider.
Got it. And then once it comes back, you also have another bite at the apple to be able to make comments if in fact you maybe didn't get all of your comments considered by the Planning Commission. Is that correct?
Well, whatever the Planning Commission passes out, they send to the City Council that becomes a draft bill, and that goes through first, second, and third reading with at least 2 committees. So during that period of time, there's the iterative process.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to understand when you're able to provide comment, and so you answered that. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, and thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilmember Tupola.
Yeah, I just wanted to, thank Councilmember Kaina for having this discussion in her committee. We discussed it a little bit when we did the whole LUO overhaul, but we kind of put this to the side. So I do think that the discussion isn't going to be that every single person has to do the CUP major. We were discussing whether or not certain sizes and uses of projects that we're doing agribusiness should have a CUP major because of the grandeur of it, right? Dependent on what it is. So I hear the testimony saying that, so luckily, this is a resolution. It's gonna go to the Planning Commission. There could be some different iterations, and then it comes back here for discussion. So I think for what we've had right now, that we're good, and that I think the input from DPP is clear. So I'm hoping when it comes back from the commission, we can resolve some of these issues. And if not, we'll have a few readings before this is completed. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam?
Aye.
Councilmember Kia Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Nishimoto? Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Talba? Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Reservations.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 9 ayes.
Thank you. CR 38, 2026, and Resolution 26-17 CD1 has been adopted. Moving to the top of page 13 from the Committee on Public Safety and the Economy, Councilmember Tolba.
I move that CR 39, 2026, and Resolution 25-328 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Tolba for the explanation.
Accepting a gift of 2 used 2021 Glacier golf carts valued at $9,300 to the city from the Honolulu Zoological Society for the Honolulu Zoo.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, any reservations or no votes? Seeing none, CR 39, 2026, and Resolution 25-328 has been adopted. Councilmember Tolba.
I move that CR 41, 2026, and Resolution 2615 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Tolba for the explanation.
Accepting the gift of $10,860 from the 200 Club to the city for the Honolulu Fire Department's Manager and Employee of the Year Luncheon and Award Ceremony.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have one registered testifier, but that person is not logged on.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion, members? Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 41, 2026, and Resolution 26-15 has been adopted. Moving to the top of page 14, Councilmember Tolba.
I move that CR 42, 2026, and Resolution 2616 be adopted.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Councilmember Tolba for the explanation.
Accepting the gift of $15,000 to the city from the deputies to fund the Honolulu Fire Department Fire Explorer and scholarship programs.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Any discussion, members? Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 42, 2026. And Resolution 26-16 has been adopted. Councilmember Tolba.
Move that CR 44, 2026, and Resolution 2625 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Tolba for the explanation.
Commending the Honolulu Police Department and its leadership for adopting clear policies to ensure transparency and accountability while maintaining public safety.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you, members. Any discussion?
Chair, just reservations. Thank you, Chair.
Reservations for Councilmember Okimoto. Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none. Any objections or reservations? Noting the reservations of Councilmember Okimoto. CR 44, 2026, and Resolution 26-25 has been adopted. Moving to the top of page 15. There are no balance of committee reports, no unfinished business. Turning to new business, Vice Chair Tupola.
I move that Resolution 26-18 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Tupola for the explanation.
Accepting a gift of up to $1,990 to the city from the Association of Local Government Auditors for travel and related expenses for one staff member of the Office of the City Auditor to conduct a peer review.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do you have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Any discussion, members? Seeing none, any reservations or no votes? Noting no reservations or no votes, Resolution 26-18 has been adopted. Turning to the top of page 16, Vice Chair Tupola.
I move that Resolution 26-19 be adopted.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Vice Chair Tupola for the explanation.
Accepting a gift of up to $2,023 to the city from the Association of Local Government Auditors for travel and related expenses for one staff member from the Office of City Auditor to conduct a peer review.
Thank you very much. Do we have any testifiers, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none. Any objections or reservations? Noting none. Resolution 26-19 has been adopted. Moving to the bottom of page 16, Vice Chair Tupola.
I move that Resolution 26-33 be adopted.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Vice Chair Tupola for the explanation.
Relating to the transfer of funds.
Okay. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Yes, Chair, we have one person in the chamber.
Please proceed.
Yeah, good morning. I'd just like to comment that good job, record-setting city council meeting. It's the quickest I've ever seen you get it done. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting none, Resolution 26-33 has been adopted. Moving to page 17, there are no items for the Committee on the Whole or executive sessions. Are there any announcements? Councilmember Cordero.
Yes, Chair, thank you. I would like to wish from all of us a happy birthday to our camera operator, Patrick Garcia. His birthday was on Monday. So let's all wish him a happy birthday. Where is he? Hey, where is he at? Okay. Well, when he comes up, let's wish him a happy birthday. He always makes us and the testifiers and I guess also the city administration look great. So thank you and happy birthday.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Councilmember Kia Aina.
I'd like to introduce for her second day on the job, my new policy director, Sarah Beamer, who is from Kailua, graduate of Kalaheo High School.
Awesome. Welcome. Any further announcements, members? I'd like to make an announcement. Happy birthday to CSS's very own Duncan Osorio and Olivia Torres, who's also with Council Administrative Services. Happy birthday to you both. Any further announcements? Seeing none. Oh, maybe one more. Councilmember Tupola.
Oh, sorry. I want to wish my staff member, Gio, happy birthday. It was yesterday. He might be watching. He might not be, but he's in the office. Thank you. Happy birthday.
Awesome. Thank you. Happy birthday. Vice Chair Tupola, motion to adjourn.
I move that the meeting stand adjourned until Wednesday, March 25th, 2026 at 10 a.m.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Any objections? Seeing none, the council stands adjourned until Wednesday, March 25th, 2026 at 10 a.m. Thank you, members.